Okay, here's help on number 16 and 17. We are finding the solutions to these equations. Now, we have a square in the problem. So the first thing we need to do is use our inverse operations to get rid of the square. The opposite of a square is a square root. So what you do to one side, you do to the other. So the square root and the square cancel out. So that goes away, and all we're left with is x minus 4. Now remember, anytime we take the square root of a number, like the square root of 16, we have to have the sign plus or minus. And the square root of 16 is 4. So we can break that into two equations. X minus 4 equals the positive side, which is positive 4, and x minus 4, which equals negative 4. That takes care of the plus or minus. Split it into two equations. Now you have two equations to solve. So to get x by itself, I add 4. Plus 4 and minus 4 cancel out, so I'm left with x equals 8, which is one of my answers. Okay, now I'm going to move on to the second equation. I'm going to add 4 to both sides to get rid of the minus 4, so that x equals minus 4 and positive 4 give me 0. So x equals 0. Okay, I'm going to show you the second example where this time we don't have a perfect square root of a number, so when we take the square root, we're going to have to simplify that radical. But we still use the same steps. So to get rid of the square, we take the square root of both sides. So the square root and the square cancel out, and we're left with x plus 3. Now we take the square root of a number, so we need the plus or minus sign. But the square root of 20 is a decimal. It is not a perfect square root. So this is when we need to do that factorization tree. So I'm going to do that right up here. Now, two things that multiply to give me 20 are 2 and 10. 2 is a prime number, 10 is not. So let's break it down further. And that is 2 and 5 give me 10. So I'm looking for pairs. 2 of the same number. When you have 2 of the same number, it gets to be free of the square root sign. It goes in front of the square root. Anything that doesn't have a match, that doesn't have a partner, has to stay underneath the square root sign. So when they have pairs, they get to come out of jail. They get to go in front of the square root. If they don't have a partner, if they don't have a match, they have to stay underneath the square root. So to get your final answer for this, you can break it into two equations if you would like to, or we can just go ahead and do the opposite of plus 3 to get x by itself would be minus 3. What you do to one side, you do to the other. Now these cancel out. So x is equal to, I'm going to write the minus 3 out front, and then plus or minus 2 square roots of 5. This is the most common way you'll see it. If it asks for you in decimal form, you just plug that into the calculator. But to do that, you'd have to break it into negative 3 plus 2 square roots of 5 and negative 3 minus 2 square roots of 5. So I hope that that helps you with numbers 16 and 17 on your test review.